We should divide and conquer. Flavit proposed, his plan daring but very dangerous. Well, draw a few of them away, so you will have a better chance with the monsters that remain. Eswin considered the plan, then nodded affirmatively. The Felein guards prepared to follow Flavit into battle, capturing the attention of Lord Mason. You would risk your lives in defense of our city? Mason asked, surprised and humbled. It's our city too. Flavit responded. Someday you will discover that there is no better or fiercer ally than the Felein. The Felein warriors then heroically charged ahead, despite their inadequate armor and useless weapons against the terrible heat and demonic power of the Hellion monsters. It took several brave attacks, some taunting and even the ultimate sacrifice of several of the Felein, but soon 3 of the Hellions broke away from the other 3 to chase the Felein party. They had done it. In turn, we rushed the remaining 3 Hellions, Eswin and Ariana both belting out their own war cries as we attacked the demons with everything we had. Lam Tora, I have a scroll of party resist fire we can use. Feria shouted from just behind me. That should prove quite useful against such monsters. Thankful for Feria's resourcefulness, I nodded as she retrieved the scroll and began reading it, quickly protecting all of us from the intense heat of the attacking Hellions. Indeed, as we began fighting the monsters, we recognized that even when we would damage one with our magical weapons, the fire surrounding the demons would normally have severely burned us. Without Feria's scroll, the battle would have been nearly impossible to win. Despite the magical protection, however, the intense heat and powerful attacks of the Hellions were still damaging and quite painful, and soon all of us were significantly wounded, exhausted, and badly scalded by the monsters. Fortunately, while not much of a combatant, Feria was an expert healer and she kept several of us in the fight well after we should have been defeated. Again, without the Huelsman cleric, we wouldn't have stood much of a chance against the Hellions. After 10 full minutes of combat, the first of the Hellions went down, then a second and finally the third. We had somehow defeated all 3. As the last of the Hellions went down, however, it actually exploded right in front of us. Caught in the fiery blast, the entire party was nearly wiped out. Worse, the remaining 3 Hellions were now heading straight for us as well, and given how extremely wounded and exhausted we were, facing another 3 of the monstrosities seemed impossible. Sainairs and Kartha, let's join hands and attempt the rites of Kas-An. Feria suggested, surprising both the clerics. What? Sainairs demanded, utterly confused. Only priests of Sisla can do that. You would invite this Mutin to participate? Recognizing the importance of the ceremony, Kartha nodded in agreement, taking Feria's hand. Clearly recognizing the severity of the situation, and trusting Feria completely, Sainairs relented and took Kartha's outstretched hand, agreeing to give the ceremony a try. Now, focus on me, draw strength from your own convictions and believe that we can heal those around us in defense of our great city. Feria commanded, her voice calm despite the surrounding chaos. What's going on? Eswin asked, befuddled by the strange behavior of the 3 clerics. Whatever it is, do it quick. Redfern added, watching the 3 Hellions approach, the heat from their bodies already causing discomfort. Feria, Sainairs and Kartha drew deeply into themselves, the 2 Huelsman believers and the Huelsman atheist working together to do something I had never seen before. Moments later, a soft white light began to emanate from the 3 chanting clerics, quickly bathing the party as well as them in their brilliance. All at once, our wounds closed and our fatigue melted away, and as the ceremony concluded, everyone within our party found themselves suddenly healed, even our spells were restored. Having borne the brunt of the magical ceremony, however, Feria cried out and collapsed to one knee, now on the verge of unconsciousness. Supreme One! Sainairs cried out as well, holding her steady. Stay with us. My part in all of this is over, Feria replied, about to pass out. Now, go save us all. Go, I will watch over her. Lord Mason instructed, kneeling alongside Feria. I don't understand, Eswin wondered aloud, healed by the surprising ceremony. What did you just do? The rites of Kas-An, Sainairs replied, bewildered himself. An old Huelsman ritual meant only for desperate situations. It permanently took some of her own health, but between the 3 of us we were able to heal and restore the entire party. She will recover. Here they come! Ariana cried, alerting the party to the attack of the remaining 3 Hellions. Our entire party restored, yet Feria's original scroll of resist fire still protecting us. All of us tore into the approaching monsters, this time much more confident that we could defeat them. As with the first trio of demons, their fiery attacks wore us down quickly, and Feria wasn't available this time to heal us as needed. Worse, these Hellions seemed to possess some sort of magical wailing attack, screaming from time to time that caused both Saint-Aers and Redfern to cower in abject fear. Cartha was able to magically remove the fear from Saint-Aers, but Redfern became useless for the remainder of the battle. Several more minutes of vicious combat elapsed and, for a moment, I wasn't sure we could endure the onslaught. Then, Eswin heroically decapitated the Hellion attacking him, destroying the monster forever. Ariana vanquished the monster assaulting her as well, and soon the rest of us brought the final Hellion down. Despite the overwhelming odds, we had done it, Nace had been saved. As the party began to lick its wounds, I noticed Lords Mason and Rustinian approach, the two shouldering the supreme healer priest Feria between themselves, the utterly exhausted cleric conscious again but unable to walk yet on her own. Upon their arrival, Feria worked up a gentle smile, so proud of us and the performance of my adventuring party. "Well done, Lomtora," the cleric began, her voice soft and scratchy. "All of you. This city owes you its very life." "Are they dead?" Mason asked of the Hellions, kicking the burning dust of the closest monster. "Father!" Zissa suddenly shouted, rushing to embrace Flavit as he returned to the party, quite wounded and even burned by his brave but harrowing encounter with the Hellions. The two embraced for several long moments as the survivors of Flavit's guard arrived as well, congregating around my adventuring party. "That was extraordinary," Eswin began, complimenting Flavit and his Felein for their actions. "We never could have defeated all those Hellions together. Thank you for creating that diversion." "You see, Father," Feria continued, nodding in the direction of Flavit. "We really can all work together, you just have to give the Felein a chance." Seizing the moment, I opted for reason and sanity, making yet another strong case for the Felein considering what they had just done to help save the city and people of Nace. Yes, the Felein make better allies than enemies. This time Lord Mason considered my words seriously, quite aware that without the Felein, the entire capital of Nace would now be in flames. The older human looked everyone over, then turned back to Flavit. "So what do I do with you?" Mason asked, truly perplexed. "You're the reason why the good people of Nace weren't here now to defend the city. But, I recognize, perhaps, that we humans didn't exactly treat all of you well in the first place. Maybe, perhaps, we need to forgive one another and move on?" All eyes turned to Flavit, the Felein leader still just as angry as he was wounded. Seeing this, I offered some additional advice. "Accept that mistakes were made on both sides, and it's time to move on." Flavit considered my words, swallowed his pride somewhat, then turned back to Lord Mason, gently nodding with approval. In return, Mason smiled and took a step toward the Felein. "Then I proclaim you, and all the Felein here within Nace, absolved of all past deeds. I will not hold you accountable for the poisoning of our people as long as you behave yourselves from now on. Agreed?" Almost embarrassed, Flavit again nodded, then smiled as his daughter hugged him tightly, Zizas so proud of her father. As dozens of additional Felein began to flood the area to aid in the cleanup and recovery effort, Flavit marched himself, Zizas and his honor guard away to assist as best they could. "Let's go even beyond absolution," Feria demanded, taking both Lord Mason and Lord Rustinian by the hand. "Let's go to equality, where humans and Felein share everything together, where each is dependent on the other, protective of one another, even fiercely loyal to the other. Let's go to where humans and Felein no longer see their differences but only their similarities, can genuinely feel for what the other needs and would do anything to make the other safe and happy. Let the events of the recent past not degrade our bonds together but strengthen them and help all of us learn how to respect, cherish and, one day, love one another." Wow, I wasn't expecting that. With Feria's words, it appeared she had done the impossible, Lord Mason apparently willing to finally accept the Felein as equals within Hope Air. Somehow, history here in Nace was about to be made. "Yes, I suppose you're right, Supreme One," Lord Mason conceded. "It will be far from easy, and it may take years, lifetimes, even, to get to where you suggest. But it is time to move forward, do the right thing and embrace these noble creatures as the equals they genuinely are." "Yes, I agree, let's do this." Without another word, Feria closed her eyes and initiated some sort of ritual, again something I had never seen before. Soon thereafter, both Mason and Rustinian reached for their chests, the pair in some sort of physical pain. Herself exhausted, Feria dropped both arms of the two lords and staggered a bit, Sainairs again reaching out to hold her upright. "What is it you've done?" Kartha asked, unaware of the magic just used by Feria. "The ritual of binding." Sainairs responded, recognizing the Sislan ritual normally used for wedding ceremonies. Their hearts now beat as one, and if they break the other's heart, it would be fatal to the transgressor. Feria finished, a soft smile on her face. "Both of your futures are now tied together, come what may. Deviate from your promises at your own peril." The two older lords looked at one another in complete surprise, then accepted their fate with dignity, about to depart. "Then that's that, I suppose," Lord Mason said to Lord Rustinian. "Let's go build us a new future together." Rustinian agreed, thanked us again for all our help, then escorted Mason back toward the power tower. "All is well," Feria whispered, her work here complete too. "I guess I will be on my way as well. Stop by the temple if you need any further healing or restoration services, we would be happy to help." The cleric gave all of us the sign of Sisla, then turned and departed, leaving us alone as dozens of frantic Felein all around us continued to extinguish the fires left by the Hellions and begin the process of cleaning up the damage. "What now?" Eswin asked of me, our adventures here in Nace apparently over. "Let's go rest and recover," I responded, quite aware of how badly hurt we all were. "Well, decide what to do tomorrow morning." My heroes all in agreement, we limped back to the hostel on the far side of the city, purchasing several rooms again and taking the time to heal, recover spells, and make preparations to depart Nace the next day. The next morning, we first visited the merchant to purchase food and water for the long journey ahead. We certainly couldn't return to Kathleen, so we had decided to travel north toward the Nararian Plains several weeks' journey ahead. Wanting to first say goodbye to Lords Mason and Rustinian, we then returned to the Power Tower, the main palace room here looking just the way we had left it, except that the gaudy throne had since been removed. As we entered, we found both Lord Mason and Lord Rustinian sitting at the sturdy oaken table, the two locked deeply in conversation. "No, the council must stay, Rustinian," Lord Mason demanded, his mind completely made up. "That council was what poisoned us for decades and locked us away in exile." The Felein Lord responded, quite upset. "They must be abolished, or even imprisoned for their actions." Oh, it appeared we had interrupted a heated debate between the two heart-joined lords. "They're talking about the 12 humans who have traditionally governed Hope Air," Sainairs whispered into my ear, clarifying the situation. "I am sure they had a lot to do with how poorly the Felein were treated these past several decades." "You're trying to change things too quickly again," Mason shouted, clearly upset. "The good people of Nace will never go for abandoning the council. No, it must remain. Why let the evils of the past taint our future?" Rustinian returned, his position clear. "We have an opportunity to start over and do things in a better way, we must do it." Unfortunately, it didn't look like the two lords were going to settle on a political solution anytime soon. "Perhaps you should replace half of the humans with Felein and keep the council intact," Redfern suggested, taking a neutral approach. "The council tradition continues, but its focus would be very different." The two lords looked to one another for a moment, unsure of the suggestion. "Yes, perhaps, that would work," Lord Mason responded. "Yes, that would work well. Once again, you've helped us here in Nace move in the right direction," Lord Rustinian said directly to us, appreciative of the suggestion. "I can accept keeping the council so long as half its members are Felein." I looked at the large wooden table, still filled with all manner of foodstuffs, trinkets, and other items. But soon it would welcome 6 human and 6 Felein representatives, who, together, would help take the country of Hope Air into a whole new era of enlightenment. Yes, it looked like this piece truly had a chance here in Nace. "Then let's make haste and see to this new council," Rustinian instructed, turning to leave. "There is no time like the present." Lord Mason nodded, but turned to me first as Rustinian stepped toward one of the stairways leading away. "It's a long road ahead, for the humans here in Nace as well as the Felein," Mason began with a sigh. "But at least we can make progress now, thanks to everything you've done here. Come back someday, you will always be welcome." The older lord bowed before all of us, then turned and departed for the same stairway just used by Lord Ristinian. Next, we returned to the Huelsman temple, finding the church operating close to normal again, a few lower-level clerics going about their duties now that they were no longer drugged. Moments later, Feria greeted us again, having cleaned herself up from our recent adventures and the battle with the Hellions. She appeared rather splendid, an enchanting priestess within an enchanting place. The cleric then approached me, something on her mind. "There you are," Feria began, a warm and gracious smile on her face. "I was hoping you'd stop by before leaving us. I just wanted to thank you again for everything you've done here, not just for the Gnossians but the Felein as well. I am sure it's going to take time, but I know that our city will be better off now that the Felein have been accepted as equals." "Well, try to stop by again someday to see how that's all progressing," Sainairs responded with a nod. "Just be wary of the Hellions and the coming infernals, too. A second age of damnation may be upon us." Feria nodded, did the sign of Sisla to Sainairs and then turned to depart, quickly stepping away. And that's a wrap of episode number 19, Fate of the Felein. Expect additional episodes every few weeks as the story continues. Looking for